Alright, hello Sin friends. This is our scrims against both Wake and VLK on August 4th. And basically, to start off this first round, I decide I'm going to double take this Veil, just for a little bit longer stealth, and because VLK also veiled and I wanted to have a little bit of extra positioning. Now we catch an Ellie immediately off the start, and I believe I actually get this kill. He'll mist away, and then I just kind of finish him off with either staff auto attacks or life blasts. Yep, life blasts. So we finish off this Ellie pretty much straight off the bat, which is great for us. I'm not sure how many Ellie's VLK runs, but it's probably only 2 or 3, and taking out half or a third of their waters straight off the bat is extremely powerhouse. I start hitting a Thief pretty hard with some life blasts while I'm waiting on an opportunity to either use my wells or for them to come back up. I actually don't know if I used them already. I just chill a tornado because, I don't know, I wanted to trade positions with him, kind of, I guess is what I was thinking at the time. But here I don't really have any life force to be able to go back into Death Shroud even if it comes up, so we get a good well hit, and while I would have liked to go into Death Shroud so those wells were critting a little bit more, I saw that I got pretty lucky with the rolls, and they seemed to crit most of the time anyway, so it didn't really matter. I still have my stun break up, so I'm playing extremely aggressively, and I want to force an Ellie out of his position so that we can, actually bomb him down when we spin. So I go for a Plague Stomp, and so if he doesn't miss, I'm going to get the Stomp and the kill, and if he does miss, well then, I know that Fallen and the train was right behind me anyway, so being in Plague is pretty safe from their train, and I just decided to go for the I guess semi-risky play, even though it wasn't really risky, really. I Life Blast the fuck out of this Lich for just over 4k, and we take him down. So now they've lost a lot of their DPS. We've already taken down 2 Ellies, which is probably all the Ellies they have, and we've taken out a bunch of DPS. I got a huge life transfer there. I didn't have too much might, only 9 stacks, but it still hurts really hard. We pick a Guardian out of the side. I actually think I Life Blasted him a second ago to just crush his soul, and I was going to Dark Path this Warrior after he used his Warhorn so that we could train him down, but VLK calls it, so that's that round. Moving into the next round, we have, just our Shadow Refuge start, and I think this one's actually a little bit slow to start up. No, it seems we're going right away. Anyways, so I'm only sitting at about half life force, so I have to build it up first, so I start with a Warhorn 5 and move directly in through their train with some staff skills, mostly because I just didn't know where they were, but I also didn't need to dodge because they didn't know where I was either, so I just walked through pretty much for free. We get a nice fat well bomb with a life transfer off directly off the start, and once again we pick off an Ellie immediately, so we see a banner goes down and the Ellie was already dead, so now we know that there's a banner down. I actually see another banner as I walk by there. I'm not sure if that's ours or theirs, but I didn't notice it at the time. All I knew is that one of their banners was down. So we lose some of our DPS straight off the bat there. Not straight off the bat, but after kind of the follow-up to first push. It's we trade an Ellie for a Necro, and now we have one of their Necros down too, just completely out of position. I'm not sure if they got flurried and then we trained them down or what happened, but either way, now we are pretty much on the same footing. We've lost an Ellie, we've lost Necros, both teams, so we're pretty much on even footing, and I'm just kind of, circle strafing their train. I see somebody go for what I thought was a heal, but now looking at the video, it was actually just like a generic skill or cleave or something that I interrupted, which is a shame. I try to interrupt heals with the Warhorn 4. I get a good Axe 3 off just to get my retail going, but I think it gets boon stripped off by a Sword 3 from a Thief, as I'm getting DPS really heavily now. So I drop a Fear Mark at my feet and evade a shit ton of hammers, but I think I end up going down here anyway. Yep, I do. So now I'm just trying to get my down message out, but I don't think I rally. No, I don't. I die. And that's a shame. It happens. I had the gank on me after I rotated out. So this round's a mess because right at the start my mouse is acting up, so you'll see like I'm just kind of facing out into the open field and I'm not able to turn my camera for a couple seconds, and that happens a few times in this fight to my eventual demise, but we do still get some work done despite technical difficulties. So here we go. I start off with a Warhorn 5 again, and I dodge right through the train. What I'm trying to do there is, because the Warhorn 5 is so little damage anyway, I'm trying to pop Aegises when I dodge into their train, so I'm taking no damage. But those tiny little DPS ticks of the Warhorn 5 I'm trying to use to break Aegises, and here is where my camera's just not turning, and I finally get a nice force turn going on. and I get a good pierce onto the train, but I start getting whooped down, so I go into Plague. Now this actually gets me out of this situation, but I still get fucked a little bit later on. I would have liked to Plague at a different time, but I'm not able to see the train coming before I'm able to turn my camera, so it ends up being a mess. I put the Well of Power at my feet, expecting what's it called, like an immobilize, because I saw the gank was behind me as I turned to the train. I really wanted to get my DPS down before I went down, but it turns out that I'm able to survive a couple extra seconds. The gank didn't turn onto me. I get a life blast on the thief, but it's too far away for any somewhat bonus damage from the life blast, and here's where I just get trained down. Eventually just not able to turn the camera again after the thief life blast, and while they were on screen, I still wasn't able to fully see them coming. I didn't turn my camera to have them on the center, and just it was a fucking mess. Nothing really else to say there. Okay, so this one's another mess of a round where I don't have proper control of my camera, and you're going to see that with some disgusting well placement later, but for the most part, nothing wrong. It was just me getting out of position. So here we go. We're going to start with the Veil. Once again, activating my Warhorn 5. As I go off to the side, we get a nice fat well bomb pretty much right off the start. Now what I should have done is gone into Death Shroud here so that I could start getting a life transfer immediately through the meteor shower or start life blasting. But nonetheless, I do get into Death Shroud. We do take down an Elementalist. Now he ends up getting back up, I think. But I get a fat life transfer going on here as I rotate around. Now, this is where I should have continued to rotate to my left. See where Fallen goes. He's going to go to the right, and then he's going to dive in. Now I stay here as he kind of goes in, it does the swirling thing, and now he's way on the other side, and I'm on the other side of the train. Now what I should have done is rotated left before, and so that as he pushed into the other train, I would have been in between my train and theirs, instead of being left alone against their train, tunnel visioning on that warrior. Now here I wasn't able to turn my camera, so I pretty much put these wells down. Panic mode. It's just like, fuck, I gotta get them down, I'm low health, I'm pressured, I have no life force, so I'm just gonna get them down. I can't turn my camera to aim them properly, so I'm just gonna create a barrier between myself and them using the wells. Now I'm super low health here, no life force, so I dodge an Elementalist lightning auto attack, and then I get an Aegis to block the next one, and by then I've gotten an Axe 2 off enough to be able to go into Death Shroud, and I block the next one with that. But nonetheless, they must have called me out and said, oh, super low necro, and they just trained me down a second later. So really, at that point, it was game over for me, especially after I hit that line. And there wasn't really anything else I could do after, totally miscalling my positioning. So last round we saw how one bad decision eventually kind of can lead to your death. Not kind of, it does lead to your death eventually. But here I make a lot better decisions. While I still do go down at some points, I do stall out a lot of time, and I do get a lot of deeps out for it. So it ends up being pretty round changing. So here we go. I'm going to start off just normally, dropping marks. Once again, my camera's acting up, so I wasn't able to turn properly there. But I get the marks down, and I get an actually really solid interrupt. I don't know how they didn't have stab, but I drop the wells, and you can see the ticks are going off. So I got those well ticks off, even though I wasn't able to turn my camera again. Now I picked off a warrior off the side. I get a good immobilize off on him with the Tainted Shackles, and I begin to just life blast the shit out of him. And once he gets enough boons, I decide that I'm going to swap targets here, and I turn around and I start trying to look around, and I find an Ellie on the outside. Now I didn't notice that he already had Magnetic Aura up, so I take my own life blast in the face, and then they just kind of start to train me down, so I Plague. But as soon as I don't know what caught them, but I noticed they were caught by something. They didn't immediately follow me out when I jumped, so I dropped Plague immediately and just tried to go for the greed heal, and I ended up getting it off, but it doesn't matter. I try to cycle back around to get some DPS, but they just continue to focus me, which didn't end up mattering. They get me down, I get a good banner off, I get a good banner on me, and now here I drop Death Shroud in order to start up my Warhorn 5 and to heal. I thought my heal skill was going to be up a few seconds earlier than it actually was. I didn't time it properly, so I end up going down trying to get off like a heal. I knew the gank was on me, and I knew that I was going to be taking pressure, but I thought my heal skill was up, so I was going to drop Death Shroud and get the heal off. But instead, I kind of get the Warhorn 5 off just to do something while I wait on that extra second and a half for the heal. But since I was able to get the Warhorn 5 off, you know that I would have been able to cast the heal. So I would have actually pulled off that greed heal if I had timed it properly, but I didn't. So sadly I went down. We ended up winning the round anyway, so it didn't matter. Now here's kind of a trash round. We get a fat well bomb going, humongous ticks in a second here, and then I get a good life transfer off. So the round starts off really powerhouse, and then it just goes to shit somehow. We just start going down like crazy, and we didn't have our banners off cooldown yet. So I try to plague to defend our downs. And just low health bars in general. Everybody's fucking scattered all over the place. It's just a fucking garbage round, and we end up calling it in a few seconds. But yeah, it started off great and then just turned to shit pretty much immediately. Okay, so this round has a lot better decision making than in most rounds. Once again, starting off with a Warhorn 5, and I go through the Veil. I avoid the static, just walking around it, and then we start dropping the marks, and by we I mean the other Necro and I. So we basically get a really fat bomb down on Fallen, who was down, and they take a ton of punishment from trying to cleave him out as we drop the wells. Now I get a warrior down on the outside, and I call it to my periphery that I got a wood down, and I just see Head Dad going straight for that stomp, so I'm going to assume he died. Now, I did get a fat life transfer off a couple seconds ago, and I start trying to life blast into the pocket, but I've got weakness, and I got 2 non-crits in a row with the glancing blow, which was really weak. That could have done a lot of damage. But here we go. I get a plague off, and then notice that I have a better opportunity to start poisoning and pressuring downs, so I get my Chillblains down across 2 downs, and I see that I rank up, so we must have gotten the kills. So I get a really nice heal off of just having 2 condies, bringing me up to about full, and I'm going to stay here for quite a while, and I actually end up opting out of a regroup in place of doing more DPS. So I did life transfer before I 5'd here, and the reason for that was just people were really grouped up, and I could just get a really nice fat life transfer off really easily. And here, once again, we went for a regroup, and I'm just going to continue to life blast because we end up having downs, and I'm trying to cause as much pressure as possible. I don't have wells, so I can't put them over top of our downs. So I try to hard res Fallen, but I can't. I get a heal off, get stunned, but it doesn't really matter. They try to train me down, and I just move off to the side, and I guess the round's called here. And I go for a life blast onto a Guardian, then I realize everybody's running, so the round must be over. Alright, so here's a really powerhouse round. This is going to start off pretty standard, actually. I'm going to double take the Veil, just because I think VLK gets a really good Veil off. So here we go, I go through the Veil, and then I actually decide to stick around and double take this Veil. And I'll start my Warhorn 5 a little bit late, but that's fine because we're not really going to initiate with the enemy train anyway. We try to bomb a Thief really hard, but you know, they just shadow step out, standard stuff. He's going to come back in with his Basilisk Venom and grab me. I'm going to just stun break the shit out of that, drop my wells at my feet as I tank up the damage. Now my half HP stun break kicked in, which is why I just stood there. Tanked the damage with my protection and dropped the wells. Now here I was stuck in a static. I knew it was a static, and I decided to life transfer in the middle of it instead of moving through it because I knew I didn't have stab. Now what ended up happening is I thought it was about to drop, and I started to move, and I just mispredict when it was going to drop, and I ended up getting stunned anyway. I life blast an Ellie down a few seconds ago. I'm not sure if they ended up dying, and I start trying to pressure a Thief. Once he shadow refuges, I change targets, move out into the main train, and I see that we've gotten some downs through either meteor showers or just melee bombs. So I decide to plague on top of the downs, get some poisons down. But we don't end up getting any kills there, I don't think. Now, I drop my wells as the trains interact, and we actually get a lot of pressure down. We pull 2 downs from that, and I start trying to life blast to finish off some kills, and I end up finishing off a Necro and a Warrior with a life blast. And they called around here. I guess we took out all their DPS, and that was the end of that. So this round just had a lot of really good positioning choices, minus walking into the static. So for this round, once again, I don't think I double take the Veil. I think we just kind of go right through. Yep. And we get a fat fucking bomb here. I drop the wells down, and Fallen ends up dropping, but they're not able to capitalize on it all because we have so much ground cover there, and they have to move out, and they're not able to cleave them down. I get a huge life transfer off through the well bomb as well, so just huge numbers going around. And I noticed that I caught a Necro with a Tainted Shackles combo, so I start just trying to life blast him. He gets a really lucky 2 Aegises to block 2 shots in a row, which would have ended him. But I do end up taking him down. Now what happens here is I end up opting for a heal. What I should have done is Chillblains and then healed, and I think we could have gotten that kill. But nonetheless, I think I end up getting him down again. I'm not sure, as I just kind of focus him with a couple shots. from stuff. I don't know what I interrupted, but he ends up plaguing immediately afterward. Now I'm going to die here because I just greed shot an Ellie way off to the side. And while I do get him really, really low, you can see his health bar drop now. I do get caught with an immobilize I didn't see coming, and then I get trained down. Now I do end up dying here, sadly, but that's just me not paying attention. I didn't really tunnel vision on the Ellie so much. I more just wasn't paying attention to where the other train was while I was looking for targets, and that ended up with me dying. Now, I did get shit tons of DPS and work done, but no kills. I didn't really solidify any kills. I didn't poison downs. Really, there was not as much done here as could have been if I was paying attention to the enemy train, and just not getting immobilized. And I could have survived more, kited more, and just done more work. We ended up winning the round anyway, just from all the AoE pressure, but it wasn't due to anything that I did.